Hey, everybody, and welcome back. It's another week of Buccaneer Insider. We've got another great week for you. Catch that one on there, Nick. As it's Killian McClatchy, Nicholas Case. We're excited to be back with you. We got another fun episode for you, a little more behind the scenes as we're interviewing the Associate Athletic Director for Compliance, Lisa Gilmore. It was great getting to chat with her and kind of hear a little bit more about the inner workings and what's going on between the universities and the NCAA. Then we also have got Tiffany Pyrtiz, a rising junior on the tennis team, as well as the president of the SAAC, or the Student Athlete Advisory Committee, as we got to learn a little bit more about what that is, what they do, more about her tennis career. And it was a pretty fun one. We decided to chat with them and hear a little bit more on the behind the scenes stuff like we've been doing the last few weeks.
Yes, we are not sticking to sports this week. We are going political, as Lisa Gilmore deals with a lot of the political things that come from the NCAA, and one is the president of the SAAC. So, we're going political. Not crazy or anything, but, political.
Sports political.
Sports political.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine. We promise.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's pretty much everything you need to know. Wait, that's not true. You need one more thing. That's right. East Bay Deli, presenting sponsor. We want to thank them for helping us put this on each and every week. Can't forget them, as you can get carry-out delivery or dine in. And make sure you stay socially distant, wear your mask if you're going to go check them out. If not, they'll certainly be able to take care of you in those other ways. But we'll quit talking, and we're going to get started off with Lisa Gilmore, the Associate Athletic Director for Compliance. Well, welcome in our first guest of this week's Buccaneer Insider. It is the Associate Athletic Director for Compliance. It is Lisa Gilmore. Lisa, welcome on. It's a pleasure to have you. How have you been?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. Not often that compliance gets interview requests, so it's nice to kind of break out of the bubble now and then.
Yeah, we like to mix things up, keep people on their toes. And, we're glad that you had time to come in here. I know that your schedule, very busy, and I'm sure it's been, a little busy and a little crazy, especially with what's been going on right now.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's never a dull moment. You never know what the next day is going to bring. You just kind of open your email, read the news, and wonder how we're going to tackle the next level of information out there.
It is nice to see you're taking some time to take a trip to Pandora, though.
Sometimes if you can't be in a whimsical place, you just kind of have to mentally give yourself a little dose of magic to keep yourself going.
Can't blame you there. Well, I mean, the first question we've kind of been asking everybody when they come on, especially now, what have you been up to these last couple months?
I will say that when summer is normally a time for compliance that we kind of reboot for roll out of the previous year and prepare for the coming year, it gives us a chance to do a lot of paperwork, closing things out, and just kind of, I won't say it's slower, but it's a lot more data driven. But this year we have not had that opportunity. So we still have all of the same responsibilities of closing out the 1920 year and revving up for the 2021 year. But on top of that, we have everything else that the NCAA, the conferences, sports, the NCAA Sports Science Institute, everything that they're coming up with too, as far as all of the changes in this kind of COVID world that we're living in. So all of the updates for their recruiting calendars, whether or not camps can happen over the summer, and then onboarding new coaching staff, which I saw you guys had the chance to interview already. So getting all of those individuals up and running and ready has really been keeping us busy. And then the times when we weren't on campus and we're working remotely, I would say both me and Richard Ryan, my counterpart, we were probably putting in about 12, 13 hours a day, just touching base with coaches, getting information from our institutional counterparts, our peer institutions, our NCAA contacts to make sure that all the information we were giving out was current and accurate. And when it was changing, sometimes every 2 days, every day, we have to make sure that we double back and say, what we told you last Monday now is obsolete. Now this Monday, this is what the new news is, to prevent violations from happening and possibly accidental and permissible benefits and those kind of things. So we were burning the candle at both ends and working our little tails off trying to make sure everybody was informed and that communication line kept going And then sometimes when there wasn't any new news, we would still be communicating that just so coaches wouldn't feel isolated or wouldn't feel like they weren't getting information. It was just that there was no information to give. So then we would make sure that, hey, just reminding you guys that we're still here, we're working on things, and making sure that they were aware of how that rhythm was looking. So a lot of work and a lot of effort for our office.
One of the things we usually ask is, how did things change for you when everything stopped? It sounds like that's a complicated answer, but if you want to take a stab at it, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me personally, I thrive in a work environment. Maybe some people call it like compartmentalizing or something, but it was really kind of a struggle for me to work from home. Even when I had my full workstation at home, not being able to kind of separate the work aspect from the home aspect, it all seemed to just bleed into work. So I felt like I was always working. Even when I would take a break to go get lunch, where you normally would take a break to go get lunch, if I get a text, I'd run right back into and start working on things. So that's when like that work-life balance, that's always a challenge for anybody in athletics, got even more challenging for me because I felt such the compelling need to be available and accessible for everyone to help be supportive and informative. So that was definitely a big change for me, where my normally pretty structured day just turned into 13 hours sometimes of just chaos of, trying to round up the information and make sense of it and then disseminate that to everybody who needed to know. We'll say it was nice. The commute to go from my bedroom to the dining room to work was awesome. No traffic. The proximity to snacks was definitely a bonus. And having my dogs nearby was always a nice little mental break when I could just step away from the email, play with some puppies for a few minutes, and then get right back into work. So I kind of miss not having that in the office. Might need to institute a puppy mental health day or something.
Chai is waiting to come in. My little dog is just waiting to come in, I'm sure. So he's loved having me around. I found the access to snacks to be a little problematic for myself, but we'll talk about that another time. It's fine.
Yeah, no kidding. They say freshmen 15, but I think COVID-19 might have its own little ring to it.
Yeah, definitely. Go ahead, Killian.
Oh, I was gonna say, so we mentioned you're the Associate Athletic Director for Compliance, and you kind of gave us a little bit of detail of, kind of what the day-to-day is look like. But so like, if, just quickly, like what is like a broad statement? What do you do for the school for people that don't really know?
The title itself is going to vary from institution to institution as what those responsibilities are and how big that staff in the compliance office looks like. I will say truthfully that my role at CSU is probably only about 30% compliance and 70% just as a general administrator. Since I'm the senior women's administrator, I do a lot of assessment of our programs to make sure that we're maintaining Title IX equity, write a lot of policies, a lot of procedures, manuals, and reports to help ensure that we're kind of organized and that we have a structure for what the rationale behind what we do and why, and also just making sure that everything is documented so it's clear for any coach, whether they've been here for a while or if they're brand new. This is how we perform as an athletic department, what our expectations are, and doing that for our staff and coaching staff as well as for our student athletes. So the student athlete handbook got a big overhaul with a lot of the general NCAA and campus expectations, but also some other just student athlete experience aspects as well to help make sure that those resources are available for students. So I'd say, most of my job is connecting people to the resources they need and making sure that those resources are up to date and are current with the NCAA environment that we have.
You mentioned the current NCAA environment. They have changed quite a bit to try to give kids a chance to bring back a season that they lost. Mm-hmm. What has been the hardest thing to communicate to coaches and players?
I think it's just making sure that everybody understands that the NCAA, I think they made the right decision on giving all of those spring sports an additional season. But every university chooses to handle that differently. So the NCAA has unilaterally granted that ability to all students, but each institution might make its own decisions based off of the coaching staff, the financial economic environment they're in, to honor those scholarships for an additional year, or whether to release those students to choose to pursue that additional season at another institution or for a graduate program, either at their school or somewhere else. So just informing everybody that there are a lot of options out there, and to make sure that everybody's equipped with those resources to make the decision that makes the best sense for them, whether that's continuing at the school they're currently at, or whether that's looking at what other opportunities are at other institutions to continue to pursue their academic and athletic goals, and then the pros and cons of both. So, because there's no one size fits all answer for everyone, it's all going to be unique to their own academic and athletic journey.
Kind of continuing off of that, we mentioned how things, especially now, they're always changing. They're always, well, you even mentioned week to week, you're getting new information. And, you know, with the student athletes starting to return and getting back on campus, have there been any challenges in your position with these rules and everything being so fluid?
Not with the NCAA has really kind of said each institution needs to handle it for each institution. So the NCAA has stepped back and said, we're not going to superimpose our rules on you. You guys all manage that for what works for your institution, which has some wisdom in it, because obviously Charleston Southern has different campus makeup and different resources than an Oklahoma or a Clemson might have. So we're going to have to work within the framework that we have to make these decisions. So haven't had to worry too much about the NCAA's rules, and they've even provided flexibility with some legislation saying when it comes to the health and safety of a student athlete, do what's best for the student athlete, and then circle back to see if there's a legislative consequence for it. So they've really kind of given us some flexibility to help students who might be in a compromising or dangerous situation, to be able to get them out of that situation. And then we'll just kind of deal with that as we need to legislatively. So most of it has just been coordinating with our athletic training staff, and with our campus partners about what returning students to campus looks like, what our campus is prepared to do for hosting students on campus, whether they're student athletes or the general student population, and then navigating those waters to make sure that we're not doing anything impermissible and that everything that we're doing is safe for our student athletes. And luckily, Brad Drake, our head athletic trainer, serves on a lot of those task force committees on our campus, and I serve on one as well, so we can all make sure that it's a group effort and it takes a village, so that way we all know what's happening and the protocols that we need to be abiding by to keep our student athletes safe as they make the decision to return to campus.
We've talked a lot about your job. Let's talk about you for a bit. Yeah, Killian and I have talked about what brought us to Charleston Southern, how our path got there. What brought you to Charleston Southern?
Really, I gotta say, it's just kind of a God thing. I remember my husband and I were taking our dogs for a walk, and we were talking about different opportunities of where, if we could move anywhere in the U.S., where we might consider moving. At that time, we lived in Texas, and we said, well, we love Texas, so we would stay here. And then when we looked at the other states that we considered, we're like, well, we like the South, and we decided we liked North Carolina, South Carolina, and Florida. And then, like, later that week, I kid you not, Jeff Barber called me up and said that he had this position open and asked if I'd be interested. And it was just kind of like, how amazing is that? We were just talking about, like, this being one of the places that we'd be interested in moving to. And then an opportunity just kind of falls right in line with that. So just kind of prayerfully, and I visited Charleston as a tourist a couple years earlier, so I already kind of had a feel for what the culture and what the community was here. But then coming in on the interview, I was like, this is really a great place to be and a fun environment that has a lot of that Southern charm and hospitality and that kind of, foundation of faith. And it was just kind of a really great fit. So I gotta say it was a God thing.
You answered my follow-up question is, had you been here before? Because I moved here in 1996, and about 6 months before that, without knowing my mom's job would be moving us here, I came down here to visit as a tourist because my aunt and uncle were here. And it is great to have that serendipitous feeling of, oh, I've already been there and I liked it. I have an idea of what it's about, so I know what I'm getting into. So that's really cool.
Yeah, and great food.
Yeah. Once again, I know, but we'll talk about that another time.
Yeah, food always seems to be a popular topic whenever we talk to anybody on this on the show.
Yeah, I mean, you just can't get away from all the deliciousness.
So,
unfortunately.
is that a bad thing? I mean, I think you'd rather live somewhere where the food is good than not.
That's true. I agree with that.
So when you do get some time off, whenever that may be, what are some of the things that you enjoy doing?
I enjoy a lot of things. Mostly it's just like hanging out with my husband. We did a lot of binge watching while we were at home together, so that was fun. And I actually created like a personal book list of books that I've always been meaning to read but hadn't quite gotten around to. So I actually carved out an hour of my day every morning while we were working remotely to read like a leadership, not like a fictional book, but a fun a book that would help me professionally or challenge me personally. So unfortunately, since I've been back in the office, that habit's kind of gone to the wayside. I need to get that going again. But I do a lot of reading. And then as you can probably tell from my background, I enjoy visiting Disney parks. So when the budget and the vacation time align, I like to pop down to Disney World and dose up on some pixie dust when I can.
Back in February, I had a surprise anniversary gift lined up for my wife and I for a mid-May trip to Disney. So that still stings. That still stings a bit.
Yeah, too soon. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. It's okay. What is the best thing or worst, I guess, depending on that you binged during the break?
Let's see. We, of course, when Disney Plus came out, we watched all of The Mandalorian. So that was great. Really enjoyed that. And then my husband actually signed up for HBO Max, and so he ended up rewatching the entire Big Bang Theory, like the entire series. I think there's like 12 years of it. And I would come home, I would leave, and he would be on like season 3, and I'd come home and he'd be on like season 7. So he really, I mean, it's a fun show. He really got into that quite a bit. And then we've also kind of been on a Star Wars kick. So we watched all of the animated series of the Clone Wars, and then the series that comes after that, like Rebel Wars after that. So that was kind of fun, just kind of getting a little more exposure to the Star Wars universe. I'd really only been in it through the cinematic releases, so I didn't know much about like the books or the comics or the animated stuff. So knowing all of that stuff that came from those two series kind of helped shed some light on some of the characters and interactions in Disney's Galaxy's Edge. So that was fun too.
I've been slowly chipping away at Clone Wars, so I understand. I added the caveat of the worst thing because we discovered 90 Day Fiance, and it is one of the better things we watched, but clearly one of the worst things we watched during lockdown. So
yeah, I did not get into the lion or the Tiger King thing.
Oh, Tiger King? Oh yeah.
No. I mean, I saw it pop up and I was like, I just don't know if I can. I'm a bit of an animal lover, so the idea of wild animals in captivity just doesn't, that wasn't for me. But Betty Palmer laughed about it for numerous times on Zoom meetings, making Tiger King jokes and all sorts of fun things. So there's something out there for everybody.
She was testing out backgrounds and pulled up a Tiger King one before we went on. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I guess the tiger, it makes sense now why that was there.
What a missed opportunity by us.
I know, it really was.
Oh well.
Oh god.
But I know one thing, you mentioned food, and obviously we keep saying that we're going to get back to it eventually. And so I just want to ask you, what's your favorite? You mentioned you lived in Texas. Obviously, the food is a little bit different here in South Carolina. So what's your favorite Southern and Charleston meal that you get around here?
I don't know, honestly. We don't go out to eat a lot, which sounds bad because there's so many amazing restaurants, but just time constraints. And my husband and I work completely opposite schedules, so we don't always get a good time to go out to dinner. And then just trying to stay fit. So we haven't explored all of the options out there, but we have a whole list of restaurants that we want to try. One of the places that we tend to revisit frequently is, I don't even get the name right, Madrarua.
Madrarua. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because I'm a big soccer fan and I'm a big Liverpool fan. So as soon as I walked in there, I was like, oh, these are my people. And my husband really adores their Irish stew. So that tends to be a place we every now and then when we want to go out for something, we'll end up over there. And when we first moved here, went to Poogan's Porch downtown. Great food. And that someplace I visited when I was a tourist here years ago. So visited there, but have a whole list of other things to try out. I will say I can't eat shellfish, so that does kind of put a damper on some of the traditional Southern foods that tend to have shrimp and those kind of things in it. But you can never turn down a good mac and cheese. And South Carolina's really got a good mac and cheese game going.
I'm sorry that you can't enjoy good shrimp and grits, because there's nothing quite like a really good bowl of shrimp and grits. But I will not dwell on it to make you feel left out.
Well, I can't say I'm really missing the shrimp. When you have an adverse reaction to it, it's not something you really crave.
It's understandable. That's understandable, yeah.
And it works out well because then there's more for you.
That's true.
I'll stick to the grits and you can eat all the shrimp and then we're all happy.
I like the spin. I like it. It's a good compromise.
Yeah, good trade-off.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think really the last question I have for you is, like I mentioned, everybody trying to get back on campus. So what are you looking forward to most about just all the students and everybody hopefully getting back and things starting to get back to normal here soon, hopefully?
It'll be great to have students back on campus. Obviously, that's why we're all here. We have a heart and a drive to, help support these young men and women kind of grow into their talents and their abilities. So that's definitely something that you miss when your time with them is cut short. I've had a great chance to keep in touch with our SAAC organization. We've had a couple of Zoom meetings, so that's been great, kind of keeping in touch with them that way and planning for some of the great things that they want to do in the coming year. I will say it's hard to know what to look forward to when there's still so much uncertainty. Like, I've had the heartbreak of having plans like, oh, by June we'll be able to do this, and then June comes and we can't. So just trying to, continue to have faith and know that God knows what the future holds, even though we don't. And just enjoying each day with what's given to us, and knowing that their future has a whole bunch of possibilities and possible outcomes, and we'll just all get to figure it out together and deal with it together and find the pluses and the minuses as we find out what that new normal looks like.
Awesome. Well, Nick, I don't know if you've got anything else.
Other than to say thank you so much for your time. Thanks for coming on, and we'll be in the office more, so it'll be good to see you in person some more. Yeah,
it'll be great to see you guys too, and hopefully all the compliance talks didn't bore everybody away. Hopefully, maybe your next candidate of the interviews will be able to liven things up too.
Or maybe we're gonna get a ton of views because they'll turn it on and fall asleep to it at night. Who knows?
That those dulcet tones of NCAA compliance are definitely a nice little lullaby.
It really puts you into that nice REM state.
Thank you guys for staying awake. That's awesome. I'm so glad that your superpowers enable you to withstand the lullaby of compliance.
This is filled with coffee, so.
You and me both.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Lisa. We really appreciate you coming on, and we hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. And yeah, thanks for coming on.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. It was great chatting with you.
Nick.
Oh, hey. Did I miss something?
We're still here.
Sorry. Thanks, Lisa. Appreciate it.
That was Lisa Gilmore, the Associate Athletic Director for Compliance. And yeah, don't worry, Nick's just joking. We hope everybody learned something from that. I mean, because it's everything that she had to say, and it's one of the things that, again, we've been talking the last few weeks with more people, inside the inner workings of the athletic department, and hopefully got to pick up a little bit about what actually goes on the compliance side of things.
And it is really an ever-evolving thing for her. Usually it's pretty static. You know the rules and you work with them, but every day, every week, every hour, it's changing now because of the situation we're in. And to stay on top of it, as she said, it's 12, 13, 14 hours a day work. And she's holding it together, and she's doing a great job. And this department would not be the same without her.
We really appreciate everything that she's doing for the department, and especially for the student athletes and the coaches, and just keeping everybody informed in this crazy time. And so we'll continue on. We've got Tiffany Pyrtiz, junior women's tennis player, as well as the SAAC president. But before that, can't forget East Bay Deli, the presenting sponsor. We want to appreciate them and thank them for helping us put this on each week. But we'll get right on to it. Here's Tiffany Pyrtiz. Welcome in. We've got our second guest for this week's Buccaneer Insider, joining us from the women's tennis team, a rising junior, Tiffany Pyrtiz, and as well as now the president of the SAAC, or the Student Athlete Advisory Committee. First off, welcome in and congratulations on the presidency. Let's just get right into it. I guess, it seems to be a recurring thing with this show. We continuously ask the same question to start off the bat. But how have you been? How have you been doing? And what have you been up to these last couple months?
Thanks for having me on. I've been pretty busy, actually trying to stay busy because of quarantine and everything. I've had to definitely readjust my schedule. But I've been staying busy. I've been doing an accounting internship this summer, as well as coaching tennis, so that's kind of keeping me on the court where I can practice with them as well as coach like little kids and just be back at the academy I grew up training at. So it's been quite fun.
Are you back in, I think, the Raleigh area?
Yeah, I'm actually from Wake Forest, North Carolina, but Raleigh is where I spend most of my time. It's right outside of Raleigh, so yeah, I've been there quite a bit.
Well, we'll get right off the start, and I mean, really, we'll start off with the SAAC, and really just for a lot of people that I'm sure don't know what it is, and myself, I don't really know much about it personally. So, what is the committee, and what do you guys really do?
Yeah, so we have a group of about 30 or 40, just a few from each team is kind of on this committee, and our role is to pretty much go over just like the new rules and policies that are going on just in the athletic department, whether that's at a conference level or a national level. Recently, we've started working on like fundraising and just like events that we're going to try and incorporate throughout the year just to get our community more involved in the athletic department at CSU. And we actually have a race versus racism that we're going to be hosting. It's a virtual race, a 5K this Saturday, July 18th. It's going to be just, you can run, bike, walk it, do whatever. And we're kind of having some tags and hashtags go around on social media, just trying to get a lot of student athletes involved and staff involved in that, just to kind of get awareness out for those types of things going on. But I mean, we're going to be meeting, I believe we've met once so far this summer, just over a Zoom call, but I believe we'll be meeting every other week just throughout the year to go over new ideas and just how student athletes are reacting to the new rules. And yeah, pretty much a lot of things are going to be changing this year. So I'm sure we're going to have a lot to talk about and to discuss. So I'm excited for it, for sure.
You picked quite a time to be informing other student athletes of the
Yes.
things of rules from the NCAA.
Yes.
It's obviously this is something that will go on the resume. Are you going to make a point to add that you were the president during the COVID era so they can see how impressive it was that you handled everything?
I believe I will put that on there. Maybe some bonus points there, but I don't know. I think it's really cool because our voice is definitely bigger than it's ever been, just because of everything that's going on, just in society as well as COVID. And so I'm excited because I think it's going to be really good, a good way to get like our athletic department closer as a community. Me and the vice president and social media director, and we have a chaplain too and a secretary. We've all kind of met a few times before we met with the big group and just kind of talked about what we want in our vision. And we really want to grow like a close community so we feel comfortable and we can all talk about the issues that we really need to talk about. So I'm definitely excited for this year and ready for the challenges that we have, but definitely excited.
Was this something you were involved in last year?
I was on the committee. I was not in a leadership role, but I was actually fortunate enough that my teammate was Femke. She was a senior on our team, and she kind of has helped me realize like what I have to do to be like, a president, because she was the former president last year. So it's definitely cool taking her role, kind of stepping into it. But
so what was kind of the process about getting to the president position? Was there like a vote, and was it something that you wanted, or did you kind of get pushed into it? It was like, all right, well, here we go.
yeah, Lisa Gilmore is kind of like our person that's orchestrating. She kind of put a vote out there, like there was a ballot and there was a few names, but I did like let her know that I was definitely interested in being a leader and helping out as much as they needed. So yeah, it was just kind of a voted in thing, and we had some other people volunteer for certain positions in the leadership, but yeah, it was just a vote.
How'd you feel when you found out you won?
I was excited. I was a little worried because I'm not much of a public speaker, I guess. That's one of my fears, like most, I'd say. But I think it's a good challenge for me and something that I think God put into my life to kind of challenge me. And I'm excited. Like I'm very much a leader on my team, but just talking with a bunch of the different sports and kind of strangers at that, like, is definitely going to be a challenge for me, but I'm excited.
Just want you to know, as far as public speaking goes, you're doing great so far.
Thank you. It's definitely different on this Zoom meeting, but something I've definitely had to adapt with.
Well, we'll get to something hopefully that it's a little bit more comfortable for you, and that's tennis. And so it seems like tennis is one of those sports that you see a lot of the people, especially now, you play it from right at the very beginning, and then you continue to just play it as you grow and you get older. So how did you get into the sport?
Yeah, my family is pretty much a tennis family. My dad played in college at Lake Superior State. It's like a very small D2 school up in Michigan. My mom played softball in college at University of Kentucky. But when they met, my mom and dad, when they met, he taught her how to play. And so she'd been playing tournaments pretty much their whole like marriage. And then my brother started playing when he was around 8. And I was like 6 years old, and I would roll, like when he was having a lesson, I'd roll the ball back and forth with my mom. And then I think one day I was just like, when do I get to hit it? Like, when do I get to play? And I believe I was 8 or 9. I started taking lessons and playing tournaments kind of right off the bat. And I loved it. I think the individual sport was very good for me. I do wish I would have played maybe more team sports when I was younger, but I did do dance dance, I did soccer and basketball, but tennis definitely stayed with me.
Let's say you could have one teammate out of any tennis player, we'll say ever, for a doubles match. Who would you go with?
Does this have to be a woman or a man?
We'll just leave it wide open.
Okay.
Who do you want to play with the most?
I'd probably want to play with Roger Federer because he's classy. He's just all around the best. I believe so. I think he is. He just seems like a great guy. And he's just an amazing player. If his serve is like perfect, so it would definitely be easy to play doubles with.
He's going to do all the work. You can just sit back.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right?
Yeah.
It wouldn't be that bad. You can sit back and just, just admire it from that close.
Exactly.
So what? Go ahead, Killian.
Oh, no, I was saying we were talking, you mentioned about trying to stay busy and how you were helping out at your academy. And so is that kind of what you've been doing to stay sharp during the pandemic and everything like that and keep your skills going? And have you had much contact with your coaches and kind of what to do? I mean, just workouts, anything like that.
Yeah, so we've definitely been given a workout schedule that our coaches have given us and our athletic trainers have given us just to stay sharp and stuff. But I've been doing a little bit more running every day. I have like an app on my phone that kind of keeps this, like, it's just like a fitness app and it kind of shows goals and challenges you can complete, things like that. So that's kind of keeping me more in like endurance shape. Just definitely the tennis coaching with my previous coaches I just grew up with has helped me because I've been able to hit in with a lot of the academy kids that are in high school. So they're hitting good balls. I mean, and there's definitely a lot of college players in the Raleigh area that are back home, and I've been able to hit with them too. So that's been really, really great. My brother also played 4 years at the Citadel. He just graduated. And so he's like kind of taking a break from tennis because he just graduated and finished out, but he has hit with me some. So he's definitely a good hitting partner. But yeah, it's been really great just being back where I grew up and being at a tennis academy. It's just really helped. I haven't seen my coach, but I've seen some of my teammates a few weekends ago. We spent the 4th of July together, and we're planning on seeing each other again in Charleston soon to kind of hit the ones that are local, just to like train a little bit together before school starts back up.
I'm glad you clarified the age of these campers because in my head I had you just decimating like 9 and 10-year-olds as they try to lob it over to you.
I do work with some younger ones, but that's more me feeding or like really coaching. But a lot of when I'm hitting in is definitely like the juniors and seniors in high school. So
do you ever have any of them that kind of just get on your nerves and one day you just kind of sit there like, man, I would love to just fire one right at you?
Oh, definitely, yes. But you learn. You hit like comfortably with them, the little ones. So you kind of have to let them think that they're in it, But it's all part of the process. But definitely some of these little ones could probably be me. I mean, it's crazy how like tennis has advanced in the technique. These kids are learning at such a young age. It's going to be just such a different game in 10 years. It's crazy.
You're from the Triangle area. What brought you to Charleston Southern?
Well, my brother did play the Citadel. So his coach, I would come down and visit him his freshman year, especially knob year, because they need people to come and kind of visit. It's a tough year for those people. So I would come and see him, and his coach was really close with me, and I was checking out a lot of schools in the area. And the coach, Mike Baker, was the current coach that year of my recruiting, and I met with him, and he was very like personal and took me around school for about 3 hours and just talked to me. And I met the girls in the weight room, and I had known one. I had played doubles with her in a few tournaments, Madalena Mann, and she just told me it was just like such a good place. Like the girls were just really awesome, and the team and the atmosphere. And I knew coming from a Christian school that I wanted to definitely still be surrounded by that type of that type of environment, just because I think in college is the time you learn a lot about yourself, you become who you are, and I wanted to be surrounded by that, not necessarily like safe space, but a place where I felt like I could freely talk about like my beliefs and grow and have a small group, and it not be so difficult for me to speak out in what I think.
I mean, that is one of the reasons I think a lot of the people that are at Charleston Southern's, one of the reasons they do love it so much. It's a great place. And so, we're glad to have you at the university. And I know going forward a little bit and kind of taking a step back, we mentioned that you guys and your tennis team were one of the sports that were cut short due to COVID and everything. So what was that whole process like for you guys? And you guys were really just starting to get in. I think it was right before conference play was really about to kick off for you guys. So how did that all go down?
Yeah, so we played, it was over spring break. We had played one conference match and we did quite well. I think we won 6-1 or something. And we were really excited because we really wanted this to be the ring year. We were very driven and disciplined, and we'd been doing the right things. We've been practicing hard. Our fitness was better, like as a team as a whole, it was better than it's ever been, our coach said. But we did play one school from up north and our last day, and it happened to be our captain and senior's birthday that day as well. And our coach, before we went on the court, our coach was like, "Ladies, I just want you to know," because there was rumors about what was happening, but no one was quite sure. It was very early. And our coach was like, "I just want you guys to be grateful when you go out there and just play with your heart. Just give it all you got, because we never know. I mean, we don't know what the next day holds." So she was just kind of giving us that speech, and we took it and we played, and we had a good match. But after that, we had no idea that was going to happen. I think we heard maybe that night or the next day that we heard rumors about it stopping. I mean, we practiced a few more days, and we actually all got together at my apartment and we're just talking about what was happening, because a lot of internationals on our team were like, "Do I need to fly home, or what has to be done?" So we got to kind of a little bit of closure as a team before we all just like disappeared. But it was definitely sad because we kind of knew it was coming, but it was just very like tragic. But I think we're going to be even more motivated this year. I hope so. I know like the girls, we're still striving for that ring and just having our best year yet. So I'm excited to see everybody back, hopefully soon. I know with international, there's some uncertainty as of right now when they can return and how the quarantine works and like what phase we're going to be in when school starts. But definitely excited to see us grow even more as a team. I think this has brought us closer, and definitely pumped us up for this year. So we're excited, I think.
You said you're pretty vocal in the huddle. You had everybody at your apartment. Obviously, you've had some leadership since you are also the president of the SAAC. How have you gone about keeping in touch with your teammates through all this?
Yeah, so I text a lot of them just about random things. We're all very close. We're definitely a family. We have a few best friends. Everybody has like their best friend on the team, but I like to just talk to everybody. Sometimes I'll pick up the phone and call people. We'll FaceTime. Coach had us on a FaceTime for the whole group, so we all kind of got to see each other. But we just kind of check in with each other, see how each other are doing. And when we see a lot of things on social media, I think it's easy for our generation to communicate, whether it's over just Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat. So it's very easy to like keep up, especially with the internationals. It's easier. I think it's crazy how like we can just stay up to date with each other from just being so far away. But I think everyone's doing well. I believe almost everyone's training. I know a few girls in Germany and Brazil, their courts were shut down for a while just because the case is really bad there. But I think everyone's back to training and just kind of working out. So
yeah, I feel like you and golf had a bit of an advantage because you guys are particularly distant sports. So outside of a few places, you guys were never really shut down.
no, like me and my brother, we have a few parks that were nearby, and in March and early April, we would just go to the parks and like hop on neighborhood courts, and we would just play because, I mean, it's kind of a socially distanced sport. So we definitely have that advantage. But yeah, I know a few golfers at the school, and they said I saw pictures of them out training too. So we're definitely fortunate.
Thanks, my brother. But so, and that's one of the things you mentioned, the camaraderie between you and your team is tennis. You mentioned it's a very individual sport, and obviously you do have the doubles. But how do you guys just come together like that, especially with your mentalities when you guys go out there on the court? It's okay, it's me versus the person across from me. But in the grand scheme of things, you guys are all still a team.
Mm-hmm. I think that's what makes college tennis like the most exciting thing, because you grow up in tennis and it's just you. You don't really play these team tournaments. I mean, there's one national tournament you play, but you get randomly paired up with kids that you've competed against your whole life. And so you're like a team for that week. But after the week's over, you go back to competing. And it's very cutthroat. Like, it's very competitive. And you're young and you've got parents and there's a lot of pressure. So when you kind of everybody's like looking to college because they're like, I'm so ready to be on a team. And that like really pushed me to just keep playing, because I was like, it's going to be worth it to be on a college team. And it really is. Like, we have all come from that like individual thinking, and we all had to, freshman year is definitely a transition because you're thinking about the lineup more than you probably should, just because you're like, oh, there's numbers, who's the best, who's the worst, or like, am I going to be able to play, or if I play doubles with her, or things like that go on. But you definitely grow, you transition into, it's really for the team. We really want to win together. Even if I'm not playing today, like, if I'm yelling and getting this girl going and getting her feet moving and getting her pumped up, if we could win that 1 point, then the energy it goes across all 6 courts. And so it really is like everybody's in it together. Not one person wins it, which I like, and not one person loses it for us. So it's, like, no matter what, that you've got people that are going to have your back. And you're not used to that in this sport. So having that advantage, like when you're on the court, it just makes you want to like play with your whole heart. Because for me, like, I'm playing for myself, but if I'm struggling myself, I have something else I can reach from just in my heart and like in my mind, and know, okay, I'm playing for these girls. Like, I care so much about these girls. Like, I love my team and I want to do everything I can for them. So it's really like, you learn how to be humble, you learn to be more selfless, and it's definitely changed me as a person. But it's probably, this has been like the best part of my tennis career for sure, just being part of a team. And our coach has really helped us realize that too. Anka she played in college and she coached at a lot of other schools, big schools, and she's told us how it needs to be and how we need to be humble, we need to be selfless, and we need to be playing for each other, not just ourselves. And so I think our team has really adapted to that and held on to that, and it's helped us definitely succeed.
So I'll finish up the last question that I've got for you, just kind of going back to the SAAC and what you guys have got planned for this upcoming year. Is there anything you can that you've got planned that you can share with everybody, or is it all kind of hush hush and keeping it behind closed doors for right now?
No, not really. we are going to be doing the same fundraisers, I believe, that we've done in the past, which is we do an Operation Christmas Child fundraiser in December, November time. And I'm hoping to do kind of a competition between the teams just to get more participation, more stuff going on there, just see who raises the most toys or raises the most money, as well as if we do a dodgeball tournament. I don't know if that's going to be a spike ball tournament this year or a volleyball tournament. We haven't really decided on the details, but we just kind of get a lot of students together and staff to come out and kind of play and compete and have pizza or have a cookout or something. So we do little things like that, which we're hopefully, if quarantine and COVID and everything clears up, we can continue to do those things. If not, I mean, we do have this virtual race coming up on Saturday. That's like our big thing that we're doing right now. But other than that, there's definitely a lot of new rules. I'm attending a lot of the leadership conferences that we have going on in July. There's sessions going out for like a lot of the the SAAC presidents and a lot of other student athletes that choose to do those. So we're learning a lot about what this year is going to look like with just every sport individually, and practicing and how we got to get cleared before practice, just staying safe, and a lot of different things, especially with the social equality issues and things like that. So we're definitely learning a lot, and I'm at the stage I'm listening and taking it in, and hopefully going to talk with the leadership, and we're going to create some new ways to improve things. But right now we just started, so we got to take all the information in first before we can really set anything in stone.
And I've got two things, and then and then we can wrap this up. One is you want to go ahead and give us full details about that virtual 5K, how to sign up or whatever.
Yeah, sure. So we have Instagram. It's just at Buck_SAAC, I believe, or SAAC. We have a Twitter account. I'm not exactly sure what the Twitter ad is, but it's going to be just you either run, walk, bike a 5K on Saturday at any point in time of the day. Just upload like a picture of yourself. There's all the information's on those two social medias, but you just upload a picture of you completing it, thumbs up, a video, crossing the finish line, your watch or your phone or whatever you're like pacing yourself with. You can do it with a group or by yourself, and just you hashtag these two hashtags we have. They're on our Instagram, I believe, and Twitter, but there's a link for those, and we're just going to hashtag, I think one is just CSU Athletics, CSU Bucks, something like Go Bucks. And we have a story going out right now that we're getting a lot of people to challenge a lot of other student athletes. So like I posted on my Instagram story, like, I'm doing this 5K, I challenge so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so. And so then they see that, they repost it. So pretty much all you do is post a picture, hashtag those things once you've completed, and just like upload it on a media. And then I think the account who Ashley is the runner of the Instagram. So she will be posting that stuff and just kind of shooting it out so everyone can see all the participation that we're getting. So yeah, it's all, there's a lot of instructions on exactly how it works online, but it's pretty much you just take a picture, you run the 5K, and you upload it.
Final thing is, you're on court 1 and you're up like 3-1, you're cruising. I'm on court 6, I'm having some trouble, I need a Go Bucks. Can you give me a Go Bucks?
Go Bucks!
There we go.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Tiffany, for joining us. We really appreciate it. And yeah, we look forward to everybody back on campus. Look forward to, the spring coming back around quickly, so we can see you back out there on the court.
Thank you.
That was Tiffany Pyrtiz, the president of the SAAC, as well as a junior tennis player, and it was great getting to chat with her. And she was our first tennis player that we had to have on, so it was really great getting to chat with her. And that is one of the interesting things about tennis is you don't really think about that it is such an individual sport, but as soon as you get to college, it really is about it really turns into a team game.
It's really cool to hear her reaction of saying, this is one of the best parts of my career is being around a team. And you never think about it, but it makes sense because you even watch the pros and their team is literally the people around them and their publicist and their trainer and everything. And that's it. They don't have that group around them. So it's a really neat peek into all that.
It really is.
For those, she wasn't quite sure, but Bucks_SAAC is the Twitter account for those that want to follow. And Charleston Southern SAAC, all one, is the Instagram if you want to follow, by the way.
Yeah, we'll be sure. We'll put that right down at the bottom for you, so you'll be able to go and check that out. As she mentioned, don't forget this Saturday, that 5K. You can walk it, you can run it, you can bike ride, you can hike, fly. I don't really know. You can just go do 5K and be sure to take a picture of it. Yeah, Segway. I mean, I'm sure that would be all right. Whatever other modes of transportation. Hoverboard, roller skates.
Yeah, I would not recommend driving it because that kind of defeats the purpose.
That's true. It does. Yeah, we'll think of some other ones for you.
Pogo stick.
I like that one. I like that one a lot. If somebody pogo sticks 5K, you have my eternal respect.
Yes. And you have Killian's eternal respect as well.
Yes, exactly.
Where'd you get a pogo stick?
I can't pogo stick. I don't have the balance for it.
Just in general, though. Anyway, unicycle. All right, I'm done.
There we go. I can't do that one either. But either way, make sure you do that. Go run the 5K. Go do the 5K however you have the means to, and then take that picture and send it to them online, as it's a fun little way to get involved this weekend and to really, just get yourself around the athletic department and those student athletes as we hopefully ramp back up towards hopefully getting back to campus and getting back to everything going again.
And really gives you an excuse to get out of the house for a bit, get outside. And I know it's going to be hot because it's that time of year where it's hot. But, a little physical activity never hurt anyone.
That's true. That is very true. So be safe out there. Wear your mask. Stay hydrated as it is hot. And we want to thank you all for joining us again on another week of Buccaneer Insider. We'll be back next week, just like always, and appreciate it. Y'all have a good one.
Do it on a penny farthing.
I don't even know what that is.